You are emerging like the sun comes up in the east. You're emerging like the first chirps of a bird as the dawn breaks. You're being renewed, rebirthed. Whatever you have gone through in this past life cycle, you have been resurrected from that. You are moving past that. That cycle has ended, and this new cycle is now being birthed. You can feel that there is a great mystery that's going on. You can feel that there's something that's much greater than the surface level that's going on. You could feel the energy in the air. You could feel the great mystery of life that you're dancing with. You could feel that the universe is speaking directly to you. You can feel that. You're experiencing that. And you're being guided to trust that. To trust in this great mystery. In the midst of this experience that you're having, the personal, extremely personal experience that you're having with the universe, you could feel that you're being called toward something. You're being called to something higher, something greater than you may have ever imagined for yourself. You feel within your body that this is something that is real. It's something that also feels very familiar to you. It feels very ancient. And the guidance that you have is to really nurture yourself. I may be speaking to a earth sign. It may not be an earth sign. It may not have anything to do with your astrological sign. But I am getting the image of nature. So as you are going through this new birth, you are being invited to nurture yourself. And this was the same thing that came up in the reading a couple of days ago, connecting with nature, being in nature, spending time in nature. This image is showing a woman buried in earth. It's like she's getting nutrition, like the earth is feeding her, nurturing her in order for her to grow, like she's been planted. And you may feel like that. You may feel like you're in the dark right now with this rebirth happening. You can be in the cycle where you're in the dark. You're buried in earth like a seed. Trust that the universe has your best interests because you are one with it and it is one with you. It cannot go against itself. It is designed for its growth, evolution, expansion. And so as you discover your personal and unique relationship with the universe or God or your creator or whatever you call that creative force, as you discover that personal relationship, then you will discover that there's no harm that is meant to come your way. We are in a time of restoration. We're being restored to our origins. So we're being guided to trust in what has always been there for us, what will always be there for us, what we're always and eternally tied to, which is that creative force. To trust that no matter what chaotic or uncomfortable or a negative situation may come our way, that it cannot actually succeed in harming us in any real way. I have 2 locations to touch on. The first one is the Tarkine. This is in Tasmania, Australia. The primary element is earth and water. The key energies are growth, wildness, secrets, and isolation. I am sitting in my tent, cupped by a crescent-shaped beach, facing one of the wildest oceans I have ever seen, although there is only a breath of wind. I am surrounded by a jagged coastline the color of wet rust and iron with bush behind me. The ground is covered in mosses that are exquisite in their shapes and colors. The sound of the ocean and the taste of the salt is everywhere. It is dusk, and the sky has turned a smoky pink. I look down and my skin is the same color as the sky. I feel like I am the only soul here. I've walked all day through scrub, sand, wet marsh, and bush to get here and have seen no one. But then, climbing down the rocks, paying absolutely no attention to me, is the biggest wombat I have ever seen. His short legs take him halfway down the almost vertical point, and then he sees me. He stops. He meets my eyes, and then it's almost like a decision had been made, and there is a little shrug, and he keeps on barreling down the hill. His solid round body moseys on along quite lithely, belaying that low-slung shape, and he just goes about his business of digging up his entree right in front of my tent. I find myself smiling, and I no longer feel like I'm alone. He is the first of many wombat visitors that night, and judging by the variety of animal footprints near my tent in the morning, my little place in the Tarkine was quite the superhighway. The Tarkine is one of the last remaining true areas of wilderness in Australia. It is a stretch of coast buffeted by the roaring 50s wind, which turns the inland into a stunning and rare temperature rainforest. Some tracts of forest are completely undisturbed due to their isolation, and importantly, it holds perhaps the last few Tasmanian devils not affected by the viral cancer that threatens this iconic species. It is alive with life. Over 50 species of its plants and animals are marked as endangered or rare, and its biodiversity is incredible, in particular within mosses, trees, and birds. Snaking its way through it are the mighty Tarkine and Arthur rivers, which are the heart of this ancient place where Aboriginal peoples made their home for thousands of years. In fact, the archaeological and the spiritual significance of areas of the Tarkine give it yet another reason to be protected from mining. Whilst 80% of the Tarkine is protected from logging, at the time of writing only 5% of it is protected against the voracious appetite of the mining industry. The area is close to being placed on the World Heritage List, but it may well be a race against time against mining interest. To walk or swim here is to be immersed in old earth energy, full of fertility and power. You certainly feel that hermit-like isolation of a pristine environment, yet totally connected at the same time. The energy here isn't warm and fuzzy. It's alive, independent, and will reward you if you take the time to look more closely. This is the road less traveled. There is no road, and it will reward your attention. When you visit, be adventurous and do a multi-day walk if you can. There are guides available if you are not confident on your own. The Tarkine is best discovered on foot with some time on your hands. You need to take everything in with you. Although fresh water is available normally in rivers and streams, you can walk the coastline or go deep into the forest. It's a big place. This is a fragile ecosystem, so leave nothing behind. All right, the second location that we have is Machu Picchu, and I will leave both of the GPS coordinates in the description box if you're interested in taking a look at that and completing a visualization exercise. I leave that there so you can be as precise as possible when you go into your visualization. So Machu Picchu, the key energies are solar, cycles, harvest, universal power, rest, and observation. This is in Peru. The primary elements are earth and air. There is little that hasn't been said about the grandeur of the 5th century site of Machu Picchu, a hidden city untouched by invading conquistadors. It was rediscovered as a relatively intact site. At almost 2,500 meters, Machu Picchu has been built on a high ridge surrounded on 3 sides by a winding river, and there is now general consensus that it was built as an estate with areas for rest, worship, and astronomic observation for the Inca Emperor Pachacuti. Within the sacred district of the site, there is also a residential district. Its 3 main structures, the Intihuatana, the hitching post of the sun, the temple of the sun, and the room of the 3 windows are all built in the traditional Incan way with well-finished dry stone walls which are forgiving in earthquakes. All of these structures were dedicated to Inti, the sun god, and the Inca's most powerful deity. Inti was all-powerful, and the people relied on him for his solar power, good weather, and hopefully bountiful harvest. The sun mask of Inti was worn by the head shaman priest or by the king as Inti's descendant on earth. The mountainous landscape high in the misty Andes is integral to understanding the site. The place was chosen for the way that it related to Incan cosmology and astronomical landmarks, and the way that the light fell, particularly at key times of the year like solstices. Even with the site, raw stones like the Intihuatana stone is set so that it points directly at the sun during the winter solstice. The stone is situated at 13 degrees 9 feet, 48 degrees south, and acts almost like a solar-based clock. It is said that if you place your forehead against the stone, your third eye will open and you will be more able to receive the messages of the cosmos. It is one of the most visited sacred sites in the world. When you visit, hike your way up if you can. That way the site opens up to you gradually, and so does the inherent energy. Also, plan to arrive early, and not just for the sight of the mist appearing across the landscape. The presence of too many tourists does dampen the view somewhat. If you can, climb above the site so you can see Machu Picchu against the mountain vista. This way you can see how the temples are part of the landscape rather than just sitting on top of it. So you may be inclined to complete a meditation on either of these sites. If you feel led to do so, you may feel some connection to either of these locations, either in Australia or Peru. You may want to draw the energy of both of these spaces in. So again, completing a visualization exercise in these spaces. So of course, you can look this up online and also punch in the GPS coordinates to get a more precise location. So with that, I'm going to end it. If you have made it to this point in the recording, you are a extremely unique individual. Mainly because you listened this whole time, and also because I do absolutely nothing to promote and or market this content other than be myself. So count yourself as a cool ass person because you found my spot, and I really appreciate you being here. And I will talk to you next time. Peace.